Welcome to Inside City Hall. I'm your host, Mayor Daryl Seymore, and our guest today is Laura Sanchez, the Navajo County Recorder, and Raylene Richards, Navajo County Elections Director. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, guys, it's exciting. You know, we got all the excitement with the elections and everything happening in our country, and we also have some real important things happening locally here.
Yes.
I understand we got some different elections we're going to talk about and some changes at the ballot box this year. So let's go ahead and talk us a little bit about some of the changes of the elections that we have coming up.
Well, this year we have 4 statewide elections. We have the presidential preference election, which we only see every 4 years. And then we have the special election, which is in May. That's going to be a statewide election on Proposition 123 and Proposition 124. And then we have the primary election on August 30th, and then the general election on November 8th at the end of this year. We have some changes coming of election equipment at the polling places, which we'll talk about more a little bit later throughout this, but we've been pretty busy at Navajo County.
Let's talk a little bit about what Prop 123 is, just so we can help the people understand the importance of it, as well as the 124. Just highlight some of what that particular special election is about.
Okay, those propositions, that's going to be about the State Land Trust Fund for funding for education, and then the other one is for the PSRS retirement. I don't have the ballot language specifically in front of me, but that's what those two are about.
The way I understand it, takes the trust, some of the trust fund that used for land, and they'll take like $3.5 billion of that to spread back to the local schools over the next 10 years. It doesn't deplete any of the trust fund, it's just a portion of the interest that they're earning on their return of investment. So it's a thing that we need to learn all that we can about it, and for the most part it should be good for our education system.
Yes.
The PSPRS that stands for the Police Service and Retirement program that they have. There are some changes that are happening to that affect our cities and also the retirement of the police officers. So we hope that the citizens will get informed on those issues. They're 2 issues that require approval by the citizens. So
yes,
we look forward to that.
They could definitely also contact my office, and we can send them ballot language of it, if you know. But we also will be out doing training for those.
They'll also get publicity pamphlets in the mail regarding the arguments for and arguments against.
On those sides there. Well, so these new machines, they sound fantastic, kind of like a Star Wars robot machine we got coming up, right?
Correct, but a lot easier than the Star Wars machines. Okay. Completely very easy. They are actually a lot easier to work with than an ATM machine or even your smartphone. I have a smartphone and it's not very easy for me. But the new machines are ADA compliant. They have headphones and a keyboard. For those who are blind, they can go into the polling place and actually vote independently without any help. And also, any voter can vote at any polling place in Navajo County, as long as they're Navajo County voters. They can vote at any polling place in Navajo County. Let's say, for instance, they live in Holbrook, work up here in Sholo. They don't have to go back to their home precinct to vote.
That's great.
They can go vote at any polling place in Navajo County.
Well, that's awesome. So why is the reason for the upgrade?
The reason for the upgrade is we purchased our old equipment about 10 years ago, and the vendor that we went with, of course, as we move in the 21st century, they decided they wanted to put their efforts into new equipment and new software. So as we worked with our equipment, of course it started to get old, started to break down. We couldn't get pieces to replace it, so we had to make the decision of purchasing new equipment, how to go forward so we could provide reliable services to our voters of Navajo County.
Okay. Now, about how many of these machines are going to be replaced of the old machines that get replaced?
We have replaced 79 touchscreen accessibility machines, 79 of the optical scanning tabulators, and we now currently have 60 express vote machines, and some polling places will get 2, depending on how busy they happen to be. And then we also have 1 central count machine that we're going to have at our office.
Okay. So will all of the polling places have new machines at them?
Yes. They will all at least have 1. There may be, like in Sholo, there may be 2.
Okay. Share with us a little bit about some of the people who have worked with these before. How efficient, how easy are they? I mean, let's look at all of our people who go to vote. A lot of our senior citizens are great people who turn out to vote. Is it going to be something that they're going to have a hard time with, or relatively easy?
We have actually done a bunch of demonstrations, and we have one of the demonstrations was at a senior citizen center, and the elderly people loved it because, well, the most comment that they said is, I can see the ballot. They can see what's on there, versus it's something, a paper ballot, they couldn't see it. But on the screen, they could actually see their ballot and see the wording on it.
Oh,
they loved it, and they said, this
awesome.
is so simple.
That's
it was
great.
Very simple.
Now, bugs. Every time you roll out something, there's always, you know, bugs that go through. I got a new phone the other day, and all of a sudden I can't even operate it because I've got to input things. So what type of bugs are we going to have with this?
Well, we haven't had any bugs yet. Like I mentioned, we went out and did some demonstrations, and we didn't see any bugs. Nobody mentioned, well, hey, what about this? And then just last week we did a logic and accuracy test with the Secretary of State's office, and we didn't have any bugs. Okay. nothing to complain about.
No, so we're not going to have any hanging chads or anything like that, right?
No hanging chads.
Okay, no. That's over and gone with there. What about privacy concerns that people have?
And they do, a lot of voters do feel the need for privacy, and now we definitely agree with that. So when a voter comes into the polling place and they want to vote on the express vote machine, it will be facing the wall so that there's nobody looking over their shoulder to see how they're voting. And then once they have voted their ballot, they will put it into a red secrecy sleeve. Then they will then take it over to what's called a red ballot bag, and they will deposit their ballot into the bag themselves. If they need assistance depositing it, there is going to be somebody there, like the inspector, to help them with that. And then when the polls close, the sheriff's deputy will come to all the polling places and pick up the ballots and bring them back to our office.
Okay, so we have good security measures in there as well. But let's say, so part of these are touch screens, and so the information is just going to be there. Do they have to, is it just set up for them when they go in? Is there a code they have to turn on for themselves?
There will be a code that they need to turn it on, and we'll have an express vote clerk there to assist the voter to get their ballot ready for them, and then the express vote clerk will walk away while they are voting.
Okay. So it takes a person.
A person to
each person
correct.
Comes in with a different code.
Yes.
Okay. How about internet hacking into it or anything like that in the Wi-Fi?
Okay, well, these machines are not hooked up to the internet. It's a ballot marking machine, so there is no tabulation going on with them. The voter will get a blank piece of paper when they come in. They will insert it into this machine, vote their ballot. Once they're completely done voting their ballot, it will print what they have selected on that paper. And then the voter still, once it comes out, the voter has the opportunity to look at it to make sure that machine marked everything that they have selected. If there was an error on that printout, they could still take that printed out ballot to an election worker and let the worker know there's an error on it. They will spoil it and give that voter another sheet to put in that machine to vote again. Every voter in Arizona has the option to go up to 3 ballots. However, if they make it to that third ballot is their final vote cast. But so they have a little bit of leeway if they make a mistake to take it to a poll worker, and we can correct it for them, help them get it corrected.
Okay, that's great. So it's a big eraser, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell us about the viewers of Navajo County Super Precincts. What's happening there?
Well, with the super precincts, what we did is we have combined some precincts that basically had the same legislative district, congressional districts, Board of Supervisors, Justice of the Peace, and we've combined them and made them one. So basically the ballot is completely the same, and so they're not tied to having to go to one polling place. So we combined them, but we left all of our polling places existing still. So if they're not comfortable voting on this express vote machine, they have options of going to several polling places to vote a paper ballot. So they will still be offered a paper ballot if they would like. It just will give them options of where to go instead of just one as before.
Okay, that poses another question. If somebody goes and gets a paper ballot, how are you going to know that they've voted a paper ballot versus coming in and voting on the machine?
Well, what happens is when a voter comes in, they show the ID and they sign the electronic poll books, which we have been using for a while. Well, those electronic poll books are actually going to talk to each other.
Okay.
So if, say for instance, I'm in Show Low doing business, I vote my ballot here, and if I were to try to go back into Holbrook to vote, that tablet would tell them there that I have already voted in the Show Low precinct.
Oh, great.
So.
Great. Okay. Can you tell what's the difference with this presidential election versus some of the things that we have of a preference election that we have going on?
Yeah, the Arizona presidential preference election, and we're an open primary state. However, the presidential preference election is a closed primary. So only the voters that belong to the parties that are going to participate in this election are able to vote in this election. For example, the March 22nd presidential preference election, only the Republican, Democrats, and Green parties are going to participate in that election. So those will be the only voters that would be able to participate.
Okay. So we have the Republicans at some period of time, and we have the Democrats. So I'm an independent. Say I'm not, but let's say if I were an independent, I just don't go to a vote at that time.
You would not be able to participate in the presidential preference election.
Vote there.
You can participate in the primary election that's in August,
Okay.
August 30th. It's just not the presidential preference.
That's good. You know, I think a lot of times people just forget of how many in a presidential year that there are so many different times to vote. Now I'm going to throw it back to you. Why haven't we figured out how to put all these ballots on the same, these measures on the same ballot and come in and vote maybe once or twice as opposed to 4 or 5 times through this cycle here?
Well, we would definitely love it. It makes it easier for us to have to only run it once or twice. However, the ballot length I think the voters would get would be phenomenal. It would be so huge. You wouldn't just get that one piece of paper front and back. They would have several, and to make sure they get it all put back into, vote it all, understand it all, and deposit them. I think that might be a little bit of a confusion too for the voters. Now we have city council that also has to be on the ballot. So it just keeps like more and more get added to the ballot. And if we try to make it just 1 or 2 elections, I think we'd be really congested on that ballot.
So to be kind of clear with our people, we have the presidential preference election in March 22nd.
Yes.
And then in May, we will have the measures for the 123 and the 124. Then in August, we will have our local supervisors as well as council people, as well as any other measures that happen. That's all the pre-election, presidential election at that time too, or not the final, but we didn't get into that till November on them, right?
Those won't be till November.
So we have a lot of different delegates happening and things going forward there.
We'll also be leaving these little pamphlets at your city hall, so that way the voters can know what seats are up for election, what the dates are, and what they'll need to take to the polls to vote. So these we have left here at the city hall for the voters also to come by.
Any other places where those will be available?
Those you will find at, we have them at our building at on the not Public Works, but Public Health Department over there, across the street from us. But we have them in our local government buildings where they're available.
What about early voters? How is that going to change if we're registered to receive an early ballot on these elections?
It won't change anything for an early voter. An early voter will get their ballot in the mail. Well, those are mailed about 27 days prior to the election day. So they will still receive theirs by mail, and they could still deposit them in the mail or at our office, or we have our election boxes, drop boxes.
So have some of those been mailed yet, like the presidential preference election, or are they just getting ready to be mailed?
The presidential preferences will go out February 24th.
Okay, so it's 24th, so we got a couple of days that'll be going. You guys are going to be busy, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
We're very busy.
Forward that way. Tell us a little bit about the voter privacy security. We've talked a little bit about that, but can voters ask for their name not to appear on a voter registration list If so, how do they make that request?
You know, voters can request that. We do have a secured voter list. However, we would recommend that you call us so we could help you with that. There is certain criteria that has to be met, and then it is a lengthy process. There are steps and procedures that have to be followed to get on a secured voter list. So that, if you can contact my office, we would be more than happy to help assist you with that. So,
Okay.
And I'll give you our contact information here in a little while.
You know, we're rolling through this pretty quick, so I'm going to get back here and I'm going to ask you guys a little bit about your history, about what you do, what your role, just the regular day-to-day process is here, and then kind of how it goes into what we have coming up. So Raylene, tell us a little bit about yourself, about the job, what you really are required to do every day a little bit, and share with us a little bit about you.
Sure. I have been with Navajo County since 2007. I started as the elections coordinator. Well, actually, I started as a poll worker, and that's what got me into it and to the politics, and I really enjoyed it. And then I became the elections coordinator in 2007, and I've been doing that until May of last year, where I was the elections director, moved on to something bigger and better, and then I was hired to be the elections director for Navajo County. My day-to-day is getting these ballots ready, this election ready. I'm already working on the May election, even though we're not even over with the March election. I'm already working on the May election. So we also do poll workers. We recruit poll workers and get supplies ready for election day. We also are in charge of special districts and their elections also. Special districts meaning city council, fire districts, water districts, sanitary districts. We are doing those usually on the off elections.
Okay. How about you?
With me, well, I started in 2007. I started just as a voter data input specialist, you know, getting the registration forms, maintaining the rolls and stuff. And then in 2011, Lori Justman appointed me as her chief deputy recorder. So I've been working with her, but the recorder, we maintain the voter registration rolls. We oversee the elections department, but we also do records management. So we maintain all of those that come in, recording deeds for their homes and stuff. So our office is pretty busy. I mean, voter registration right now is really busy doing the early ballot stuffing because we don't outsource that. That's something the staff does themselves. So our permanent early voter list is about 24,000 voters, and they're busy little bees stuffing away over there, so printing and all that. So we are pretty busy staff.
That's great. What do you guys anticipate with just this election and this time of year of everything going forward with some of the ballots that have already been cast in our nation race that we have and going on? It seems like there's higher voter turnout and things like that. Are you guys gearing up for a bigger voter turnout this year?
Definitely. We're hoping, you know, there will be a bigger turnout being it is a presidential election year. It's a new president. We also hope that we're going to get a lot more voter turnout because the convenience is going to be so, it's there for the voters to be able to go anywhere to cast their vote. We are hoping we draw out the younger generation also with this new equipment because we know my kids love their phones, and with this new equipment there will be an app where they could actually preview their ballot, take it into the polling place, scan it, and it be cast. So we're really hoping our turnout gets a lot higher. Our rolls are about 60,000 registered voters in Navajo County. We just would like to see that turnout go up a lot higher, and then maybe start focusing on getting the voter registration numbers even higher.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, you know, tell me what has been some of the average turnouts of some of our elections. I know some of the things that we've had in the past have only been like 20 and 30%, and maybe at the presidential election it will go up to maybe 38% or something. When I see those type of numbers, I really am disappointed, you know, because of one of the great freedoms that we have in this country is to vote. And it's one of our rights that we need to take as citizens, I think. And so I just am really excited that you guys have shared this information today, that it's going to be a little bit easier. There's going to be one place to go, or we can go to several places. And I think in Show Low, everybody knows where the Navajo County complex is.
Yep.
Right there. That's going to be the main voting station for Show Low. But what do we do about lines? What do we do about things? Do you anticipate lines, or do you think it will move pretty quick?
I think the lines are probably going to be a very smooth process. I mean,
Okay.
we will definitely get as many poll workers in place as we need to, the equipment to make that polling place run smoothly. I mean, we don't want to make the process easier, but make wait times longer. That's not at all what we want to do. So we will definitely prepare. We have troubleshooters in place for that. We have extra equipment if we need to pull them out for the polling place on election day to make sure those lines are moving.
So in the middle of the day, you could add different
Yes, we
machines
could.
and different things to help if you see a certain area is getting backlogged.
Congested.
Yes,
That's
yes.
cool.
And right now in Show Low, there's 3 lines that they can get into, because there's going to be 3 tablets that they can show their identification and sign the tablet. So there's at least 3 lines that they can get into. It's not just one line; they can get into 3.
Okay. Well, let's go over these pamphlets one more time. Like when I look through it, I see that Show Low's main voting precinct is going to be at Navajo County complex there. You've got different state, all sorts of different elections that we have, May 17th, March 22nd, and then our Navajo County offices. Now you're even going to be up for election. That's good, right?
I am.
That's a good thing. And so we have that happening. And then there's the candidate filings. Even if people are looking at running for office, it gives information of when you have to file your deadlines and things as
Yes.
well there.
That's
So
all
these
on
are
our
just kind of the
website.
brochures that will be available. If you can just stop by the City Hall, pick up one of these, and you'll be ready for voting day. And
Yeah.
things that way. Is there anything else you guys want to cover or go over?
Well, I would just like to leave our information to let the voters know
Okay.
that they can contact us anytime with any questions. We love to, make sure we know we have your ballots going to the right place. Just call us, let us know. Ask us if we have your correct party, just make sure the registration is current. And our number to contact us is at 928-524-4192 or 1-800-668-3867. Also, you could go to our website, www.navajocountyaz.gov, and you can go to the recorders or the elections department and find information.
That's great. Anything else?
We are always recruiting poll workers. We always need help on election day, troubleshooters to go around to the polling places, make sure everything's running smoothly. Also, we do early boards the week before the election, so we're always looking for somebody who would like to work for the week as what we call it, early boards, and open up the ballots.
That was great. Well, Raylene and Laura, thanks so much for being with us today. Really appreciate you having you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us on Inside City Hall today, and have a great day.